Yeah.
So yeah, and he is taking care for all the marketing
Yeah.
for Caden. And let's welcome Wei Zhong. If you have any question, feel free to ask him. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Well, I know that a lot of people pronounce my name in a kind of a weird way. I know. So Wei Chun Wan. For those of you that are familiar with the 80s pop culture, there is a song, Everybody Wang Chung Tonight. That kind of reveals my age already. I am so sorry that I had to do that. Welcome. Full disclosure, I did not know what I needed to do until 2 hours later, 2 hours ago. But I'm here. I was told that I'm here to provide guidance and advice. And my wife would be amazed by their request. Because, how could you ask my husband to give guidance and advice? Because he's such a bad character. But I'm going to try my very best. Like Constance said, I am appreciative of this opportunity, and I'm honored and privileged to be here. To be quite honest with you, I don't even know whether I'm qualified, but I'll try to be qualified. I'm going to use the next 1 minute to explain my background in history, right? Because we're still doing the traditional way, right? I did get my terminal degree, PhD in economics from the University of California at Irvine. I was born and raised in Taiwan. I didn't come until I finished college. I spent the majority of my career being a college professor. I teach business and economics. I had a career trajectory to pursue high leadership position in a liberal arts college environment. My last post was with Juniata College, a tier 1 liberal arts college back in Pennsylvania. I was associate provost and international education dean before I decided to move back to Southern California, because who wouldn't want to be living in California, right? So I co-founded this company, Cadan, back in 2010, along with a few of my really good friends. And like you could have imagined, as an economist, I know nothing about computer science, I know nothing about engineering, and I'm currently in charge of the marketing function. All right, so I still provide management oversight for the headquarters marketing function. Cadan is a software company that focuses on software as a service. So we are a document/workflow management service provider, as well as electronic signature service. For those of you that have not heard Cadan, we are about to be public in the Taipei Exchange. So throughout the years, I'm again really appreciative of the opportunity to participate in this journey. When I started, we had less than 20 people, and now we have 250 people in Japan, Taiwan, China, and Singapore, and a very small operation here in the United States, although we started the operation here in the United States back in 2013, and we're always trying to expand and identify more opportunities. And I just walked here from the last panel that I was in. I was being invited as a panelist, and the first question that I posted to the audience, really posted to the coordinator, was, "Why'd you invite me?" Because I was sitting there alongside computer scientists and engineer, and I'm just, I sit there like a sore thumb because I'm an economist. What do I know, right? And I think that's the beauty of the era that we're in. If anybody that comes across who tells you that he's an expert in AI, they're fake, because nobody knows what's going on. Everybody knows that there is a lot of opportunities, but nobody knows what's going on. Even the big companies are trying to figure out how to commercialize things, how to get money out of your pocket, right? Everybody is doing the same thing. So what makes you stand out then, you ask? Easy. Are you interested enough in discovering new things? Are you interested enough in learning new skills? Are you interested enough to embrace the countless and limitless opportunities? Really, we're living in an era where sky is the limit, right? So I understand that I'm here to provide you with kind of like career guidance. And to me, I'll tell you, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I still, the one identity that I hold still very dear to my heart is the college professor. All right? I am still through and through a college professor. That's my identity. And I think what I want to the reason why I'm telling you that is because I think deep down in everybody's mind, everybody should have an identity that they embrace. And I understand that that identity might be vague, right? And everybody's still in the process of trying to identify what my identity is, and that is okay. And to be quite honest with you, I think I'm experiencing a lot of midlife crisis, which kind of explain why I walked away from my tenure professorship back in Pennsylvania. I moved back to Southern California, right? And that also kind of explained why, I once applied for a college presidency. I went through the whole process. I try to understand, how to explain and articulate my mission in higher education and my calling in higher education. And I walked away. Why? Because I see that as a journey of discovering myself, finding out who I truly am, what I really want to do. If you ask me what I really want to do right now, I can't tell you. I'm still in the process. The one thing that I will tell you what I really like, however, is that I like new things. I like to keep discovering things that will excite me, right? 2 days ago, I was sharing this in the panel that I was just at. 2 days ago, I came across Notebook LM, the latest Google language learning model that could convert notes into podcast with human voices. You can't even distinguish like robotic voices from human voices no more. And I was like, wait a second, that's my one lifeline. That is what Wei Chun is known for, that is to talk, right? And somebody is trying to pretend to be a robot that talks better than Wei Chun does. That's not tolerable, right? I can't tolerate that. But what do I do? I still do what I do the best. That is, I try to find my niche. I try to find my value, all right? And I understand that we have, all these different ages in the audience, and the challenges that are currently facing you might be different, very different from the challenges that facing the person right next to you. I understand that. But I think, doesn't matter what technology that we're trying to invent, we have an overarching goal in today's world, that is to make human lives better, right? And in order to make human lives better, you gotta learn how to make your life better, right? Start small, start like incremental, right? I'll leave you with that. I talked about 3 minutes, and now it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes past. I don't even know, I don't have the time. But I'm gonna open it up because it's a Q&A session, and trust me when I say, nothing is too personal. Nothing is too personal. If you think that I could bring value to you, I'm here to make human lives better, right? So it's free for all. I will answer any question that you might have, right? Just don't ask me the color of my underwear, right? Other than that, it's free game, all right?
Very impressive public speaking skill. So, I can imagine growing up in Taiwan. So, just curious how you pick this up. It's because you teach in college. So, how do you pick this up? And also find your own style.
That is a very good question. I like to talk, right? And I think there was one point in my life that I wanted to be an engineer. And my dad looked at me and he said, "Son, that's a bad idea." And I was like, "What's your foundation? What's your basis?" And he's like, "You're not cut out for it." I was like, "Well, I mean, so much for being a good father," right? I mean, I was looking for words of encouragement, but I didn't realize and understand what he meant then. But I guess, deep down in my personality, that there's always this urge and desire to connect with people. And I think that's what's lacking right now. We talked about social anxiety. We talked about artificial intelligence. We talked about how whenever you dial the customer support line, that there is always a robot that gatekeeps you first, right? Oh, press 1 if you want to talk about billing. Press 2 if you want to talk to... No, I want to talk to a real human being, right? And I always said, agent. And I was like, if you tell me more, I could direct you to a better... No! Give me a real person. So the urge of connecting to people. And I think people... Whether or not you are an introvert, it doesn't matter. I think deep down, everybody wants to be connected to people. And which is why I think it's extra important when we talk about technological advancement. It has to be coming from the human perspective. So you talked about my public speaking skills. I appreciate that. I mean, obviously, there's still a long way for me to go. Because had I done this super well, I wouldn't be here holding the microphone. You'll be seeing me on TV, but obviously you're not seeing me on TV. So obviously I'm not good enough. That's my short answer. I hope that satisfies your needs.
Yeah, but how did you learn that when you just come from Taiwan to here?
That's a good question. So when I first came, I couldn't speak English that well. I mean, the one story that I always share was when I first came, that was in 2001. I came here for grad school, right? And I was looking for the authentic American experience. So how do I define an authentic American experience? I wanted to get a Subway sandwich. Don't laugh. That was the authentic American experience defined by me, right? So I lined myself up in a long queue in a student center in front of Subway, right? And when it was finally my turn, I was overwhelmed. What kind of sandwich do you want, sir? Can I have a meatball sandwich? Toasted or not toasted? And I was, what do you mean? What kind of bread? Oh, there's more? Cheese or no cheese? What? What kind of cheese, right? So I was overwhelmed, and I believe that some of you might have shared similar experiences. And as I was trying to figure out what to order, there was a guy that jumped right in front of me. And I was like, yeah, you know what? My savior has come. And turns out he wasn't trying to help me. He was trying to help himself because he wanted to, get me done with the ordering process. So he ordered everything on my behalf without letting me know. Right? And it was at that point I realized, if there's one thing that I learned from that experience, it was everybody is fighting a battle that you're not aware of. Everybody is, right? Everybody sitting here is fighting some battle that nobody's aware of. And it was at that point I realized, you know what, I gotta speak better. So I asked my native my cohorts, my American cohorts who are native speakers, and I asked them to help me. The one thing that I asked them to help me with was, if I say something wrong in public, correct me in public, so that I will remember forever. Okay, so. Some said that I still carry a very strong Mandarin Chinese accent when speaking English, but I'm trying my very best. So thank you very much for that. Yeah. Any other question? Trust me when I say I could hawk the microphone.
I have a question.
All right.
And I have a comment first.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You said
something that you're not good enough to be on TV, but you're good enough to be here with us, and we appreciate you being here 100%.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure I talk from everyone else, not just from me.
Oh, I appreciate it. You're so kind. You're so kind.
Yeah, because I'm sure you have a lot of knowledge. This is why you're here to share with all of us.
I appreciate it.
Second, so that's my question. So I like your background in economics.
That's right.
Because I was going to go to another event, but she told, because I look at her like, oh, this is too technical for me. She said, no, his background is in economics. I'm like, I'm
oh, appreciate it. Thank you.
So, question that I have it, right? Because I think your knowledge right now is incredible, and I'm sure like for all of us here, I got laid off, right? Mm-hmm. So this is why I'm here in a Taiwan event.
Yeah.
And so what I would like to know from your point of view, since there's all the layoffs right now, the economy, the uncertainty in the economy, we have new elections and blah, blah, blah. The companies already know how to get around with layoffs without any problems, right? So how do you see, finding new jobs, or where do you see the jobs moving into?
Okay, that's an excellent question. But before I answer, I would say that few would characterize econ as an interesting subject. So thank you for that. As my students, they will probably say something different. So with respect to the job market perspective, I have a few things that I could share with you. The job market landscape is going to be constantly changing, right? We feel that we are overwhelmed right now, simply because the iteration of technology has come more frequently than the past, right? Remember, for example, I always use this example. Back in the 70s, when ATM machine was first introduced, all the bank tellers got laid off because their services were no longer efficient enough to catch up, right? But the ATM version 1 versus ATM version 2, it probably takes, I don't have the stats to back this up, but it probably takes a year or 2 years for ATM version 2 to come out. So the iteration of technology is not coming as frequently as you see today. The AI, like how many models, I don't even remember like the ChatGPT. What is the model right now? Right, 4, right? Cloud AI is like 1, 2, 3, and 3.5, all happened in the past 6 months, right? So it's that iteration, the pace of iteration that overwhelms us. Not only us, but also companies that we work for. I want you to remember, some of you sitting here are looking for what the next thing is, right? And I always tell people that I'm always on the job market. Are you looking for jobs? Well, I'm always looking for jobs. Am I switching jobs? Not necessarily, right? That's important for you to understand because economists believe in market, right? Market mechanism is how we allocate resources. And the labor market is part of the market, one of the many markets, right? Now, we should be very thankful because, prior to the pandemic, the remote working was a foreign idea, right? Right now, everybody is embracing it. Although I know like some big companies here in this area are calling people back to the office, screw them. But at least that got people a taste, right, of what that's like. Here's my suggestion to you, is the traditional work type is changing. You need to embrace it. What do I mean by that? Back in my days, when I was growing up, my parents always told me, you know what? Get a job, do it for 20, 30, 40 years, be loyal to your company, and then you can enjoy your golden retirement. Right? That's what my father did. Like he did the same job for like 36 years before he retired. It's no longer the case because look around. All these new companies, they haven't been around for that long, which means the competitive landscape has changed significantly. And what does that mean for you personally then? You may be working toward, always be loyal to the company that you work for when you work for them. Do you see the takeaway there? Always be loyal to the company that you work for when you work for them. When you're not working for them, you don't have to demonstrate loyalty. You have to be loyal to yourself. So the takeaway is this. Nothing should stop you from pivoting. Nothing should stop you from trying something else, which really provides the foundation of all these job matching services at the current moment. You have Fiverr, you have Marketer Hire, you have all these different platforms that try to provide opportunities for people that want to try something else. And the problem, however, is that you as an individual freelancer, you are facing the market, right? Are you ready for that? Because when you are the sole person or sole individual that's facing the market, you have to be clear on a lot of different things. How do you market yourself? How do you collect payments? Is the platform, however much fees that the platform is charging, justifying it? How do you conduct business development effort? How do you get new leads? How do I control my time, right? Because time is obviously the most valuable thing, right? And when people say that, oh, Wei-Chung, you're too mercenary. You're too mercenary. You talk about, time is money all the time. You mercenary economist. Let me be straight with you. I don't care how much you make per month, per year. You div it up. Then you would know what your hourly rate is. Everybody here and out there is carrying a price tag. May I remind you, the CEO of Chase, JP Morgan Chase, last year, 2023, how much is he making? Do you know? $36 million. All right? Now, from the economist's perspective, I could explain and justify why he was making $36 million. Part of it was to provide that drive and motivation and incentive to people that he works with, so that they think one day I could be in that position and making that money, right? So that's a human resource strategy, number one. Number two is You clearly see that there are positions and industry that could have the extra premium, right? But the problem is when you're working for a company, you got shielded. You don't get to see the market reality. The company takes the risk of collecting the payment and pay you what they agreed to pay you, right? So are you ready to face the market directly? My suggestion is, whether you're ready or not, you need to put yourself in front of the market. Understand how business development works. Understand how marketing works. Understand how payment processing works. All these basic things. And then you drill down and understand what your core value is. Your core value could be, I don't know, machine learning, marketing, doesn't really matter. I have a really good friend who used to be the vice president at PNC Bank, headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And one day, the CEO or somebody high up, call him in and say, well, Trevor, you have been handling the finance operations for the bank for a long time. I need you to cover the marketing function right now. And he was like scared and overwhelmed. So his response was, no, I don't want to try new things. I'm in my late 30s. I'm comfortable here. The CEO says to him, I expect bigger things from you. I want you to replace me. But if you were to replace me, you got to know everything. So right there, the traditional notion got challenged. Because when we were first working, we were always told, even when we were in school, we were forced to pick a major. We were forced to specialize, right? Because that seems to be where the productive efficiency comes from. Wrong. Conventional wisdom is no longer working. You need to bring yourself to a point where you could really gatekeep all these side functions so that your core value could be more valuable, could be brought up, right? So that's just my 2 cents. I hope that helps.
Thank you. No, that's great.
Yeah. Sign up for Fiverr. I don't even know, right? You know, do you know? Like when I was back in Pennsylvania, I actually I got the Uber sticker, and I was like, my students were like, Professor, I mean, did they really not pay you that much? I was like, no, I want to try it out. And full disclosure, I was trying to drive Uber Black, not just Uber X. Sure.
I think it would still relate to the next question, more specific for the software engineer. So I really, okay, so resonate what you say. There's no one single job that needs anymore. So right now I'm seeing there are less demand for software engineers. So the company start thinking, how can I survive and be still competitive in the next 5 years? I have 2 laws I want to see your insight. One is I go toward the AI side, learning more about how to use the models, what the terms they are using in the industry, or I become a product
Manager.
product as a first engineer, like 50%, 50%. So I stay and stick to my industry for 10 years. Which route, in your opinion, would be more making sense?
Let me try to find my crystal ball and see. Well, unfortunately, I was joking. I don't have a crystal ball sitting in front of me. I cannot project the future trend. All I know is this. If there is any words of encouragement that I could provide, is that everybody sitting here will be fine, all right? And you might think that I'm just, pulling a lot of crap out of my mouth. But hear me out. In the beginning of the 21st century, the agriculture sector, we had more than 50% of the population working in the agriculture sector, right? Do you know what the number is right now? It's less than 2%. Less than 2% of the people, labor force, that are working in the agriculture sector. And that is because the introduction of agricultural machinery that got us more efficiency and all that. And not because we don't have shortage of food. We don't, right? So you're asking all the right questions. What should I do to be more marketable? What should I do to bring more value to the market? The question is correct, but I think the answer is slightly wrong in that I want you to elevate yourself to the next level by not looking at it as a question of industry composition. It's not about industry. Industry is defined by us, right? There is a lot of multidisciplinary aspects in the industry that we're seeing today, okay? So I'll give you an example, like Notebook LM. We talked about Notebook LM that was just published 2 days ago, 3 days ago. In order for the human voice, for the robotic voice to sound like human, there is a lot of linguistics training behind it. And that is humanities. That has nothing to do. That has nothing to do with computer science or engineering. You talk to the engineers. You ask them about any cultural questions about cultural competency. That idea is foreign to them, right? And I'm a social scientist, but I also know a little bit about artificial intelligence and machine learning and whatnot, because I'm always interested in new things, right? As long as you are always interested in new things, you could bring new definition for yourself. Let's forget about renovating the industry. Let's forget about renovate yourself first, right? What do I need to do? You know I'm talking a lot of like inspirational speech kind of thing, but it is true. It is true. You don't know what's going to happen, right? And I keep saying the jobs that you're seeing right now didn't exist 20 years ago. Most likely the jobs that you will be seeing 20 years from now don't exist today. So if you focus your mentality and mindset on how do I, cookie cut myself into fitting what is needed right now. And you also mentioned a very important dimension, that is you're in Bay Area. Here, there are certain professions that are overly saturated. Everybody I talk to is working for a startup. Everybody that I talk to is working as a computer scientist or a computer engineer. Nothing wrong with that. But how do you stand out? How do you stand out? If you ask that question and then you are forced to really discover your passion outside of your major area. And to be quite honest with you, everybody should have multiple areas, not just one. Not just one. Because specializing is a tricky thing. If you specialize, you are really handing over your faith to the market. You are at the service of the market. Because when market says that you're obsolete, you're obsolete. In order for you to not be obsolete, you need to know how to combine multiple things together and create your own thing. Right? Ironically, I was thinking that, if this doesn't work out, I'll be a podcaster. And Notebook LM just took away that opportunity. However, I'm not scared. I am embracing that opportunities. Right? I was actually trying to experiment that idea with my colleague when recording a podcast episode the other day. What if we let a conversational AI come out with the script, and I use my charismatic voice to act it out. After all, it's free for all, right? We could try it. We could experiment it. What is the one thing that you're experimenting? What is the one new thing that you're experimenting? I'm asking a rhetorical question, but I hope that could push everybody sitting here to understand. Yes, there are opportunities. There are also threats. Yeah, I get that. But what have you done to kind of pivot and change the trajectory? Does that make sense? Thank you. Yeah. Any other question? Yes. Henry, I remember you.
So from the panel prior, you mentioned that you got a PhD degree in
Economics. Yes.
Right? And you work as a professor, and now you're a marketing officer. I'm curious how you found the confidence in those career pivots.
Fake it until you make it. No, I'm just kidding.
Right now in my early point career, with a couple years of experience, I got to find myself a little bit, discover myself. But I never get that confidence, especially right when this job market, right?
Right.
Everyone reported a crisis, but it's just kind of difficult to find out when that timing's right, and whether that personality, whether that work can go together, and that skill set as well. So,
Right.
with your experience, I'm kind of wondering how your process was like. You said what that entails mostly.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm about to say may surprise you because my wife would not characterize me as a person that operates without any anxiety and pressure. Right? Quite honestly, I mean, I didn't go to the pub with my team members last night because I decided to go back to the hotel and prepare for the AI panel today. And so there was anxiety, right? So everybody is a human being. I'm a normal human being, right? In facing challenges, we're all Power Rangers trying to find the easiest way out. That's human nature, right? But here you have to look at things in a positive way. When we talk about the ultra competitive market or labor market environment here in the Silicon Valley, do you know how many people want to come in? Right? A lot of people will kill for an opportunity that you currently have. Even if you're not working, even if you don't have a job, a lot of people will try to kill for an opportunity just to stay here and identify possibilities. Right? So that would be the positive outlook that I try to, granted, like I said in the very beginning, I'm personally experiencing a lot of midlife crisis. I don't even know what my future holds, especially, with the younger kids and whatnot, right? But I don't think that I would ever be in a place where I become obsolete. At least I have the confidence in that. When you say that, how do I pivot? Well, you know what? Opportunity, it'll sound cliche if I said that every time opportunity seems to be falling on my lap. Well, you could also argue that because of the fact that I have always been interested in new things, I intentionally or unintentionally try to talk to people, try to identify opportunities that'll benefit myself, And obviously, my intent was hidden, right? When I reach out to people, I want to help. I want to, but then, over time, people realize, oh, Wei Chun has a big personality. He may be able to help me, right? So, what is the value that you're bringing to the table, right? A lot of people say, oh, it's money. People are always looking for VCs, investor money. I'll tell you this right now. Two things. Number one, there might be VCs sitting here. Number one, when VC tries to marry you or your company, they're already thinking about divorcing. Because that's the whole point. They want to divorce you. That's how they get the ROI, right? Number one. Number two, money is, it's going to sound ironic, but money is really the cheapest thing that you could look for in any entrepreneurial endeavor or any career, okay? Because again, it's gonna sound cliche, but money will come. Money should come to you, not for you to proactively look for it. So you talk about opportunity, how do I land those opportunities? Well, I guess along the way, I often talk about things, people think that, oh, you know what? Wei Chun brings some insight that I haven't previously thought about. Who knows? I mean, maybe someone sitting in the audience appreciate me a lot and give me an audition opportunity to be broadcasting in a TV station. I don't know, right? But I am myself. I will say one more thing before I close it up. The question, that is, people talked about how their career has gone based on the company that they work for. Don't fall for that. Do not ever fall for that. Don't get me wrong. I'm really proud to represent Kaden here. But I'm Wei Chun Wang. You know me as Wei Chun Wang. You now know my credentials and experiences, and Kaden is part of it, and I am proud to be a part of it. But I am me. I'm representing me. If your whole credentials and identity is built on this tangible thing, that is, what company has you worked for before, or what line of work has you done before? No, that's the wrong approach, which I think kind of answers to your question. Industry composition, no, that's the wrong approach. Think about who you want to be, your identity. And are you an engineer? Are you an engineer that has a flavor of project management? Are you an engineer with a flavor of humanities or understanding what the societal problems are, right? You look at the political campaigns that we talk about every day. What's your thought on universal health care? Think about it. What's your thought, right? What's your thought on being liberal or conservative, right? What's your thought about gun control? And you talked about, oh no, I'm not a U.S. citizen, I can't vote. No, wrong answer. Think about it. Because forcing you through these inquiries, being inquisitive, helps you build your identity. And that is going to help with your career. Talking about gun control, First Amendment. What is First Amendment? Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, right? And what is Second Amendment? Just in case First Amendment doesn't work. What is Second Amendment? Bear arms. Oh, you don't get the joke? So Second Amendment is just in case that First Amendment doesn't work. Right? And people talk about, are you a liberal? Are you a conservative? Well, there are some things that I'm liberal about. There are some things that I'm conservative about. I refuse to be characterized using dichotomy. And I think that's important. You see, I'm very opinionated, but I express my opinions in a calm way. We could agree to disagree. That's okay. But what's your identity? Your identity is supposed to be demonstrated through a series of inquisitive process. And that's going to help with your career, because that's going to help you how you answer the questions, any question that you might have with respect to how you build your future. I hope that helps. Sure, absolutely. And that'll be extra charge. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Just want to make it specific. As every AI tools in our hands, we are now expected to integrate more skills, knowledge with one person.
Well, not necessarily more skills, I don't think.
Or like domain knowledge.
So, okay,
Can you repeat the question?
so so in the face of AI, are we required to integrate more skills? That's a good question. So think about imagine that you're a physician, you're a doctor, right? And a patient comes to you, right? You're very seasoned. Patient comes to you, and he has some symptoms, right? And the reason why the patient comes to you is because that you are obviously seasoned and experienced and seen a lot of different patients, right? And your job as a doctor is to prescribe what disease the patient holds, right? The fact that you could do that instantaneously is because of that you have all these experiences seeing all these patients. AI just replaces that, right? You type in what symptoms that the patient might have, boom, right? So you ask, then what is the value of the doctor? Right? Before I answer that question, I'll give you another example. Remember MRI, right? Ultrasound, MRI, right? When the international trade benefits get extrapolated and promoted, the U.S. Massively outsourced the ultrasound reading tests to India. All right? And so all these ultrasound specialists, what do? Right? They have to find a way to advance their skill to do MRI now, right? Magnetic resonance imaging, so which is a higher level medical procedure, right? Now coming back to the doctor example, there is supposed to be a humanistic approach in this. You are still very seasoned. You'd be able to really rummage through the list of possible diseases spelled out by artificial intelligence for you to reference. And not only that, you'll be able to tell the patient in person, this is what AI said, and I concur, but you're going to be all right. And the patient is going to say, wait a second, how do you know I'm going to be all right? And then it's when you apply the medical knowledge and with the humanistic approach, right? Because again, I mean, until, and this might change by the way, nothing I said will hold forever, because until the humanoids come, the human robots, until the humanoids come, there is still a desire and a need for humanistic approach. Okay? So don't overlook that. Again, whatever you do, scientists, engineers, you got to have that well-rounded approach. You got to be able to look at different issues in a holistic way. I don't know whether that's a satisfying answer, but I'm trying my best. Yeah. Yes.
So hi, my name is Grace. I also graduated from economics.
Let's go. Let's go. Adam Smith.
So I was originally going to ask similar questions, but like they already asked them, I feel like they're all probably answered. And I do want to comment that you're very good at speaking. I bet your students love you. So I guess
Not to brag, they kind of do.
But I guess my question for today is, since you have so many experiences, you've been in Taiwan, you had a PhD, you've been a professor, and now you transitioned to being like a marketing officer. What was your favorite problem-solving story that you've had? I think is my question.
What is my favorite problem-solving story? It relates back to team building. In order for you to demonstrate your leadership, and I think there are two things that I prize the most. Number one is transparency, right? Number two is how you amass support. The transparency part is difficult, right? Because that involves difficult conversations sometimes, right? But I adhere to that principle, and I think in the long run, those who I really want to work with would appreciate the transparency that I give, right? So when you talk about problem solving, being transparent is my favorite thing to do. I always tell people that I have nothing to hide. Like I said in the very beginning, there is no question off the table. You can ask me anything. First. The second thing is amass support. How do I amass support? I came from a very different environment because I was in higher ed for, majority of my career. And I was in a leadership position. There were times when I was involved to make cuts. And people talk about, this term is probably not heard in industry. It's called shared governance, especially faculty versus leadership, right? Because faculty has this weird thing called tenure, meaning that if you don't rape anybody, if you don't rape someone, you would be able to keep your job for life. I walked away from that, all right? I gave that up, just so you know, because I'm an economist, I believe in markets. But here's the thing, when people talk about shared governance, they forget about this one thing, that from the leadership perspective, what you really need to do is amass support. If you just flat out take the top-down approach, that's easy to do. But the change management piece is something that you would never be able to go back. Because once the change is being made, your credibility as a leader is done. Simply because you didn't amass support before you do that. So how do you amass support? The demonstration of leadership is to really say what you truly mean. And that's the integrity definition, right? Integrity is you practice what you preach, right? And I've seen a lot of hypocrisy not only in the nonprofit space, but also for-profit space. But know this one thing, like everybody is working for themselves. Everybody's selfish and self-interest, which I get. But I think what I would encourage you to do is to be a little altruistic. Before I hit 40, I'm going to reveal my age. I'm 45 right now. Before I hit 40, I never said no. Kind of funny. Do you know how big of an undertaking that was? To never say no? I almost had to kill myself. But because of that, I also welcome countless opportunities, right? Now I said no, occasionally, right? That's how I built my value. So when you talk about like the problem solving, what is my favorite story? That is related back to how I maintain transparency, tough decisions, personnel decisions, budget decisions. How do I amass support? How to hold hands of people and making sure that they understand at least what they might not agree, but they at least understand what my perspective is. Because using title to suppress oppression is never a good idea. I hope that helps. All right. Sure. Thank you. We lost some audience along the way, but it's getting late in the day, which is good. And that also further validates why I'm not broadcasting in a TV station. We're back to that one. We're back to that one.
We still have 5 minutes.
Okay.
So if you have any questions, feel free.
Yeah.
Don't be shy.
Or we could stay and mingle and socialize a little bit. Sure, absolutely.
So this is not really about looking for a job. It's more of a,
Yeah.
I've been a manager since 2005.
Well, you should be giving me a job, not.
We can talk later. But my daughter is here.
Okay.
She's 17 and she's going to college next year. And
That's awesome.
here's a concern, both as a parent, but also in the leadership position for amassing talent. And retain talent is, before machine learning and AI is booming, there's a lot of entry-level jobs. And people grind, learn, figure out whether that's what they want to do or not do, and then the ones that want to continue and excel can then move up to the next level.
Right.
And so you go from equivalent analyst to whatever the next step up is, or junior engineer intern to mid-level and senior engineer. And then we can make a tracking to management.
Correct.
What AI might worry, and I want to hear your feedback on this, is I think a lot of entry-level jobs are going to be replaced. And then this value of, let's say, doctors, right? We already have past data to doing that, and now we will likely have AI do a lot of diagnostic pieces. But how about neurolearning, right? And having trained doctors to do that first step and have the bedside manners, right? Same thing with entry-level jobs. It's like without that opportunity to sort of do the grind, scrape your knees, right? How do then the ones that survive it can make it to the next level to be a mid-level and a senior engineer or their profession? That is my concern, and lack of that pipeline is also my concern as well. Being hiring and parent, I want to hear your take.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you have an excellent father. Not because I'm looking for jobs, by the way.
Talk to my uncle.
So here's my take. You are absolutely right, and I think that relates back to what I talked about when I responded to your question. That is, yes, the entry-level jobs seem to be disappearing pretty quickly, right? And this is nothing new in the world, right? You take a look at Spain, for example. Their unemployment rate right now is double-digit, and traditionally it has been double-digit. Reason being that they have a very strong union structure. And that institution exists so that younger people wouldn't have an opportunity. Because the companies, when they hire, if they know that it's really hard to get rid of you, I'd rather hire somebody that comes with experiences. So the union structure prevents that from happening, right? But in the United States, because of this AI thing and the technological advancement, now we're seeing the entry-level jobs are being eliminated or becoming less and less, right? You are absolutely right, and I concur that. When I responded to the previous question, I said everybody needs to possess the ability to do business development. Everybody needs to possess the ability to demonstrate what your true skills are. There are platforms that allow you to do that. The other day, I was checking this YouTube channel called Riley Brown. I mean, the YouTuber spent, I think, 2, 3, 4 days using the help of cloud AI. And, he was able to put together a note-taking app. He didn't have any prior coding experiences, right? So that took away the entry-level job from somebody that graduated from Santa Clara University or UC Santa Cruz to come in and want to volunteer themselves to do coding and programming, right? So the landscape still, it's the same. It's just you are not supposed to be banking your hope on getting a job from an organization to begin your career. You should start much earlier. I kept talking to my sons and I said, do you want to do something like that? I mean, I'm interested. I'm immensely interested. And to tell you what, I hold contents too because I recorded every single of my lectures. And I could easily extract the transcripts from all the recorded lecture and come up with whatever topics that I want to discuss. I'm still using my copyrighted contents. I could start a whole new podcast channel or a YouTube channel or do business development on my own. You see what I mean? So the structure and the institution of companies, that might change. And that might have already changed. But the way that we look for work, the way that we contribute, the way that we demonstrate value is changing, yes, but it's nothing different. It's just the platform is different. Yeah, I hope that helps answer the question. All right. It's been an honor and privilege and pleasure to be your host today, and I hope that I answered most of your questions and concerns. I'll see you next year, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Weizong. Thank you. And thank you for everybody doing that.
Yeah, I just want to call it professor.